Utah fans, good evening and welcome into the Kyle Whittingham Coaches Show, presented by Smith's, coming to you from the Eccles football facility up here on campus. It's a game week and a Pac-12 game week. We've got a lot to talk about tonight as Utah heads to the Coliseum on Friday night to take on the USC Trojans, first of 9 in a row in the Pac-12 Conference, and we'll talk about it tonight with you. Welcome in everybody listening in on our flagship radio home, ESPN 700, and those streaming on the Utah Athletics YouTube channel and on Twitch. Good to have all of you guys in here with us tonight. We're going to talk Utah football. We're going to talk USC. We're going to have a couple of special guests. Lucky Fotu and Zach Moss are scheduled to come by tonight. We'll talk to those two guys, those two seniors who have come back for quote-unquote unfinished business. We'll see if some of that unfinished business includes the Trojans coming up on Friday night. Kyle Whittingham joining us right now, just off the practice field.
Fresh off the field.
Man, oh man, you guys went late tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, trying to cram 5 days of work into 4 days, and so it gets a little bit crowded.
Mother Nature could not have dialed you up a better day. The last really 2 days of practice have been terrific for you guys.
Yeah, although it was pretty windy yesterday. We had to go inside for some of the throw game, but really nice out there today. Pleasant and about what we expect on Friday night, about 70 degrees.
Should be a good night in Southern California for football. All right, let's talk about closing out the non-conference slate on Saturday. You had Idaho State into Rice-Eccles Stadium. Did you get done, really, both Saturday and the first two games, what you wanted to get done with this team in non-conference football play?
I would say, yeah. I think there's a lot we got accomplished. Looking back, if you ideally a 2-minute drill or two, we didn't get into any of those 2-minute drills in the first three games. Didn't have enough field goal attempts for our kicker. We've only had 3, 2 out of 3, and so. But Jaden Redding, who is our guy now, has only had 1 attempt. So, but other than that, as far as getting 3 wins, which is obviously first and foremost, got that done. Didn't have a lot of wear and tear on the starters. We've played minimal snaps, and so I think going into the Pac-12, we're as fresh as we could hope to be, and we're in pretty good health.
Well, you got some reps on Saturday out of your 2s and your 3s. You really got a chance to play your 1s for about 2.5 quarters, and then got to see some of your backups play. Did anybody catch your eye? I mean, did any of those guys that got second team and third team reps that got to get on the field against Idaho State make an impression on you?
Yeah, R.J. Hubert comes to mind. He played exceptionally well in place of Julian Blackman at free safety. Played the entire game and did some really good things. Simi Mawala is a second start. It wasn't, he had started the week before, but he took a step forward as well. Let's see. It was nice to see Brian Thompson catch some deep balls. He got that.
We'll
deep
get
ball.
to him here in just a second. Yeah.
And let me think here. Got a lot of the backs work. Behind Zach. Zach had maybe a dozen carries or
he had 10
carries.
Yeah.
So he had a light work day and got his 100 yards on those 10 carries. And let's see. I'm trying to think who else. Drew List came in, was 6 for 6. So he did a nice job running the offense. Fua Pututau did some nice things. Samisi Lawaki was tremendous in his limited play.
I'm still not convinced that was a target, but I know you can't talk about those things.
Talk about
it.
But
I thought he came free and made a really nice hit on the quarterback.
He did, at least what we thought was. And
what used to be a nice hit.
What used to be, yeah. Football's definitely changed. And what was really weird is there was plays that happened after, the targeting question, and they – supposedly once you move on, you're done.
Right.
And you can't go back. But they erased 2 plays that happened that said, no, we're going to go back. So I don't understand it all. So we'll just move forward.
Well, we hope that doesn't rear its head again, both the targeting and the deciding to go back plays when the plays have been run already. You mentioned Brian Thompson. I'm going to start calling him Big Play Brian Thompson because he only seems to catch big plays down the field for you. 2 catches, 105 yards, a couple of touchdowns. First, he had a 38-yard reception before he got knocked out of the game against Northern Illinois the other week. He seems to be a guy, Kyle, that has all the makings of what we like to call kind of that number 1 guy, that ace wide receiver. The big programs, the USCs and Washington State and Washington have had kind of that one guy that was definitively their guy. He's a great combination of size. He's got good speed in the open field, good hands, too, and strength. So he looks like he has all the makings of that ideal number 1 guy in the Pac-12.
Yeah, he does, physically and mentally. He's got a great football IQ, makes very few alignment and assignment errors, and he's a competitive kid, and it's great to see him. Knock on wood, he's been healthy, and we've been waiting for this for a couple of years now. And he's a redshirt sophomore, so he's got a lot of football ahead of him. But so far, this year, he has done a great job, and hasn't surprised us because, like we've talked about prior, he's doing what we hoped he would do when we recruited him.
You guys have a lot of depth at the wide. You have a lot of depth, I should say, at skill positions on offense. You've got a lot of depth at running back. You've got a lot of depth at wide receiver, and even at tight end a little bit now this year too. And there's some guys that have had some catches, and some guys that in previous years haven't had that many at all. How does that work? Is that a practice thing? Is that they're out on the field, if their number gets called, it gets called? Because you've got a lot of guys that have played that maybe don't have those numbers just yet. Now, granted, you haven't thrown the ball a lot either. I think you only have 52 attempts in 3 games. Yeah. But how do you try and spread that ball around if you can, or do you go with hot guys? What's generally the philosophy on the offense?
Kind of both, and it starts with practice. The guys that perform the best in practice get the most in the plan for getting touches. But then again, on game day, the defense, if they've changed and gone away from what we've seen on film, then you got to adjust to that. But one thing, and I've said it many times, Andy does a great job, Andy Ludwig, our coordinator, of finding roles for a bunch of people. And those guys got to own those roles, and it takes a lot of unselfishness, because right now, you're right, the ball is being spread around. Nobody is getting, other than Zach Moss, no one else is getting a extraordinary amount of touches. And so the bottom line is, if we can continue the offense being productive and taking care of the football and making first downs, that's all that really matters. But we've got a group of guys that is very unselfish. They're out there working hard in practice, and they're team guys. And they know if they perform in practice and when their number's called in game, if they come through, their role expands.
You mentioned Jaden Redding a minute ago. I think he's 11 for 11 on PATs now, but just 1 for 1 on field goals. How do you feel now heading into the bigger games on your schedule, those conference games? How do you feel about your place kicking right now?
Well, based on practice and what reps he's had in games, very good. I mean, there's no reason to think otherwise. He's been very accurate in practice and has made all the kicks he's had presented to him in game situations. So we're hoping that he will continue that down that line.
All right, one more question, then we'll grab our first break. I don't know if you've been asked about this in recent weeks, but do you have any updates on Bamadelli Olaseni and from the NCAA? Because we've seen him out on the practice field. He's able to practice with you.
Yeah, he's cleared to practice. No updates, nothing different than what we knew 2 or 3 weeks ago. I thought we would have heard something by now.
Right.
Our compliance office is working diligently to get it done, but their hands are tied as well. And Bam's done everything he can do. We've done everything we can do as far as gathering information. So now it's just a matter of playing the waiting game. And in the meantime, he's been running a scout team and doing a great job over on the scout team. He's getting himself in shape. He's probably 10 or 15 pounds lighter than he was when he got here. And so everything's moving in the right direction, we hope. But we still don't have an answer on what his status is eligibility-wise.
Well, he's able to practice. How's he looked in practice? And if he does get that clearance, would you be able to? Is he to the point yet where you'd be able to work him in as a rotation? Clearly, you've got your 5 up front set, but could he work in as a rotational guy yet?
Absolutely, but that clearance has got to come. And if they say, hey, there's a lot of different ways this thing can go. They should say he has to sit out this year and be eligible next year. Eligible this year, but he's got to sit out X amount of games before he can start playing this year. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios, and so if he gets to the point where he is eligible for playing a game, he will immediately be put in the that 10-man rotation, the 2 deep that gets all the work in practice, and as soon as he can get up to speed, then he'll get his opportunity.
So there you go. A lot of folks have been asking me about Bamadelli Olaseni, and there's your answer from the coach. By the way, how would you like to be able to listen to our game broadcast while you watch it on TV, say Friday night? You want to listen to me and Scott and Tom do the broadcast but still watch that television broadcast? Well, you can do it from the comfort of your own home with the syncmygame.com. Go to syncmygame.com. It'll walk you through the steps to sync up our radio broadcast, the Utah radio broadcast, with the television broadcast. So go to syncmygame.com to find out more on Utah football and our radio broadcast. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Our team awards of the week. We'll pass those out and take a look ahead just a little bit to USC. Player interviews coming up tonight, Lecky Fotu and Zach Moss. We'll do all that on the Coaches Show presented by Smith's right here from the Eccles Football Building and right here from Learfield, IMG College. start calling him Big Play Brian Thompson, just catching touchdowns these days, 2 of them on Saturday. And we welcome you back into the Coaches Show presented by Smith. Saturdays are better, by the way, with a crisp Bud Light at your tailgate. So keep it crisp, Utah Ute fans, and drink responsibly. This week, Fridays will be better with a crisp Bud Light because we'll be playing on Friday if you're heading down to Southern California and tailgating with a bunch of the Utes. You guys should have a good crowd out there. That's the largest kind of conglomeration of Utah fans outside of the state of Utah down in Southern California.
Yeah, we got a big alumni chapter down there, and I'm sure we'll be well represented. And there's a lot of guys traveling from the state down there, and so it should be a good turnout. And you know what they did with they had like a $350 million renovation, but I'm not sure what
was part of it yet either, because they were starting it the last time we played there 2 years ago, and they've been working it since. A lot of it has to do with the Rams being down there and playing and upgrading it there, but I think some of it was structural and some of it was to the press box and some suites and stuff like that.
Did they take some seats out too? Did they reduce
that? I don't know. I'm sure they probably could, because it sat like 99,000.
Right.
And very few places get 99,000 people.
Anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
All right, we got to pass out our awards here, Kyle. Our Players of the Week, Team Player of the Week, and things like that. Here's some suggestions. You may have one in mind. I think Devin Lloyd had a good day on defense for you.
Sure did.
Brian Thompson, we heard the highlight coming in, the 2 touchdowns. Tyler Huntley had another super efficient day, and 282 yards would have been a good candidate too. Anybody else you can think of that you would like to go with Player of the Week?
I think you've hit the main guys. It could be Tyler, it could be Devin, it could be the whole defense for the shutout.
You make the call.
But I think we gave it to Tyler last week.
Yeah, we did.
And he played as well or better this week than he did last week. But let's spread it around and go. Devin Lloyd led the team in tackles and is really starting to come into his own as that linebacker opposite Francis Bernard.
Yeah, he had 3 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss. He had the sack in the game, and he's playing really well. He'll be key again this week against USC. So Devin Lloyd, Southern California product, going back home this weekend. He'll be our Team Player of the Week presented by University of Utah Healthcare. Visit them online at uofuhealth.org. That's uofuhealth.org. That brings us to our Subway Sub of the Week. And there's a lot of guys that don't normally play a lot that got a chance to play the other day. I think you mentioned one of them that may be your selection. R.J. Hubert got the start, played really well. Travis Broughton played late, and he got the interception on the tip ball. You had a bunch of offensive linemen that were getting some playing time, too. So where do you want to go?
We're going to go with R.J. Hubert.
Okay.
Like I said, he filled in exceptionally well for Julian Blackman. His first extensive playing time as a Ute, and really at all on defense. He was an offensive player in high school predominantly, and so he's made that transition. And back to Devin Lloyd, to talk about a guy that played only receiver and free safety in high school, and now you see what he's doing at linebacker. So he is really both those guys have really bought into the roles that we have them in and have made nice transitions.
It's funny, I've talked to Devin a number of times this fall at camp and after practice and stuff. You know who he reminds me a lot of? His demeanor and his personality. Somebody that played for you just a couple of years ago.
Devin Lloyd reminds you of somebody that played a couple of years ago.
His approach, his demeanor, his yes or no, sir.
Who would that be?
Marcus Williams.
There you go.
And there's a similarity because Marcus's parents were military parents, Devin's parents, military parents. But to me, their approach and when you talk to them, the way they answer questions, and
very respectful.
Very respectful. A lot of similarities. Two different positions.
Good call. Yeah, exactly.
2 different positions, but very similar there. All right, the second season starts on Friday night. The second season, Larry Krasowiak always likes to divide his season up in 3 ways. You've got your non-conference season, you've got your conference season, then you've got your postseason in basketball. You guys have knocked out your non-conference season. Now the conference season begins, and it's a great test to begin things down at USC.
Sure is. I mean, the Trojans are the Trojans. That never changes. Their roster is full of 4- and 5-star guys, and they got ability every single year. So you better be ready. We got to play our A game. And I like what we've done so far in the 3 games that we've had. I like the work ethic of this football team, their focus, their mentality, and so we got to go down there and see what we can do.
What makes this particular every team's different. Every year things change, personnel change. The 4- and 5-star guys don't change, but the teams change a little bit. What stands out or what's unique about this USC team as you watch?
Well, certainly a different look on offense. You know, with Graham Harrell coming in and installing his version of the air raid, and it's much different than anything you've seen from SC at least in the recent past. And so that's the biggest thing that jumps out from a personnel standpoint. They've got a tremendous receiving core. Those top three guys are great athletes and tough to cover. They've got a couple good backs. The offensive line is typical of what it always is, and then defensively they've got talent, and so it's just your standard run-of-the-mill talented USC football team.
And it's a great venue to play in. When you think of the great venues of college football, you walk in there and you see Mike Garrett and Marcus Allen, and you see O.J. Simpson, and you see Matt Leinart, all those jerseys in the one end zone. There's a lot of history. Yeah. And you've been at the Coliseum a lot of times throughout your life.
Yeah, I have. When my dad coached for the Rams way back when, I went to a bunch of games and actually played there when we were in the USFL. The LA Express.
The Denver Gold?
Yeah, Denver Gold. we went and played Steve Young's LA Express down there, and at least I think Steve was on the LA Express.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, LA Express. And so I've had a chance to play there a few times and watch a bunch of games, and it is a great venue. And I went to an SC Notre Dame game when I was young, maybe a couple of them, so had a chance to go there quite a bit.
Did you get a hit in on Steve that day? When you played the Express?
I probably did.
Did you?
Yeah, we always knocked him around, yeah.
Well,
particularly in practice.
If you could catch him.
Scout team quarterback, yeah.
That's exactly right.
You have to catch him first, you're right.
All right, before we let you go here and we bring in our first player tonight's going to be Lecky Fotu. Tell me about when you guys discovered Lecky and what he's meant to the program since you brought him in here.
Okay, he just moved in to the area from San Francisco area and to Harriman High School. It was a Ute shoot. And the head coach at Harriman said, "Hey, see that kid over there?" And I looked over, and there's this big 6'6", about 270 at the time, 260, 270, big frame, long arms. He says that kid just moved in; he's going to be special. And that was, I'll be darned, he was right. And we got on Lecky early and started recruiting him right out of the gate. And he just kept getting better and better. He didn't have an extensive football background. He was more of a, he had a lot of rugby in his background, but he was a guy that just, you talk about looking the part. He looked the part from day one.
I remember his freshman year, we were on the road somewhere, and I remember walking across a hotel lobby, and there's this gigantic guy. And I looked over there, and I said, I wonder who that guy is, because he looked like he was talking to some of the players. I said, I wonder whose dad or brother that is. He was 18 years old, and Lecky looked like he was 28 years old already. And I'll tell you what, he was good as a freshman, but you've seen him get better and better. What's the best part of his game right now?
That's a tough question because there's so many things he does well. First of all, his sheer size and strength and quickness is hard to deal with for any offensive lineman. He plays with good pad level. He's a tremendous athlete, so he's not just a tackle that plays inside a box. I mean, he can be sideline to sideline. He's outrunning things down from that position like very few tackles can do. He's very smart. He's a smart kid, understands the game, and he's got a great work ethic.
Here's the one thing that I noticed, and I'm upstairs calling the games. You don't see a lot of defensive tackles making tackles from the backside.
Right.
They're usually tying somebody up in a backer or an end, and there have been a lot of times where I see a 90 number make a tackle from the backside, and I'm thinking it might be Tupai because he's 92, and I look down there and it's 99 because, like you said, he's got that athleticism to run running backs and quarterbacks down from the backside.
Yeah, the way he moves and runs is unnatural for a guy that size. I mean, you just don't find guys at that size. He's 330-plus pounds and as agile and as athletic as he is.
Well, we'll talk to Lecky Fotu coming up next here on the Coaches Show presented by Smith. Just a reminder, the footlong of the day at Subway restaurants. If you get one, you get chips, 2 cookies, and a 20-ounce drink for free only at Subway. Lecky Fotu joins us next to talk some Utah football right here on the Kyle Whittingham Coaches Show from Learfield IMG College. I hope I get to say that a lot on Friday night. I know our next guest hopes to do that a lot on Friday night. He's senior defensive tackle, all Pac-12 tackle, and All-American candidate, Lecky Fotu, who joins us on the Kyle Whittingham Coaches Show tonight, right here from Learfield IMG College. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well?
Yes, sir.
Can we get a few of those on Friday night? A few Lecky Fotu sacks?
That's the plan.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
That's good. That's good. That's good. How's the year gone for you so far? Because, you had a choice in the offseason. You and a number of your teammates could have tested those NFL draft waters. You chose to come back to finish that unfinished business. What ultimately led you back here? Why ultimately did Lecky Fotu say, okay, I could go, but I'm going to come back for my senior year?
For me, there's two parts to it. The first part is, growing up, this whole process of the NFL for me, is brand new, or was brand new for me last year. And, just knowing that, I had a shot to go. But I looked over my NFL scout grades and knew that, if I come back, try a little bit more harder and, get my stats up, I can up my stock. And the other reason why is after the Pac-12 game, that feeling, I knew I had one more year, and I wasn't just right, to leave out that year, from the Pac-12, and knowing how far we could have gone from there. So
that seems to be a common theme, because everybody, whether it was Zach or you or Bradley or Julian, everybody says unfinished business, but it means a little different, something different to everybody. But the common theme was kind of, we were so close last year.
Yes, sir.
We were so close last year. Let's come back and get that thing.
Yes,
Is that how you feel?
Yes, sir.
Especially on defense, right?
Yeah. Coming in or from that game last year, both sides played really good on defense, and to come up short like that, it's a feeling that not everybody gets. Right. So to try to come back, and go all the way this time.
Has this group felt like it's been a special group this year, from spring through summer workouts to fall camp, and now 3 games in? Do you feel like a pretty close group?
Yeah. Right after the season from last year, and winter conditioning, spring, summer, this team just transitioned into that special team that we talked about, that we've been talking about all year. And, we'll find out this Friday, how special this team is going to be.
Lecky Fotu is our guest here on the Coaches Show tonight. I was just talking to Coach Witt about this. I asked him, I said, when was the first time you remember seeing Lecky or recruiting Lecky? He mentioned the Ute shoot that you came over here with,
yes, sir.
Right after you moved in for the Bay Area. So 5 years ago, when they're recruiting you and you're making your choice on a school, you had options. You could have gone places. Why was Utah the right fit for you?
I thought Utah was the right fit because they were the first school to talk to me.
Yeah.
First D1 school to talk to me. Everybody else came late in the picture. They came late in the radar, where, during the playoffs in high school, I think that's where I kind of came into the radar. But, they've been there for me, or been there since day one. And just knowing the history that they have with the D-line also, that was a big reason why that I chose Utah.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to next. Every position group on this team has a certain pride or vibe about it. There's the safety pride, and there's the O-block, and there's the running backs, and then there's the secondary. But you guys on the defensive line, there's a special something about you guys. The guys inside, the guys outside, all of you together. And I guess what's it like to be part of that group? You're now one of the leaders because you've been here 4 years. And knowing there's such a rich history of great defensive linemen that have played here at Utah, what's it like to be part of that group and that be in that room every day?
It's a huge honor, especially to have our coach, Senator Boha, being one of the original DCOG members. But, to be, playing with everybody else and, representing not just the group this year, but those from the past, is a huge honor. And, each, I guess, generation, it changes up the standards in the room. But, this year, just learning a lot from our coaches, and their history back when they played here. We try to use some of that stuff that they done in their past to now.
We ask a lot of guys about this, wide receivers and running backs, because there's only one ball. But you guys have so much depth in that room. There's guys that got to play in, say, the third or fourth quarter the other day.
Yes, sir.
They would start at a lot of other programs.
Yeah.
That are now, they're backing you and John and Hauti and those guys up and Pita up. So what's it like in that room? And is there kind of a thing where you've got to kind of pay your dues a little bit before you get out on the field? You were a rare exception. You played a lot young, but most guys have to pay their dues. Is that okay with a lot of these guys?
Yeah, they in a way.
Yeah.
They know how, like I said earlier, each generation has a different standard to it. But for the guys, that's behind us, they know their role. Everybody in the room has a role. Not just the first, second, third. Everybody plays in a role to help out as a whole.
Right. All right. You've got USC on Friday, and these games have been close. You win them here; they seem to win them down there. I know you guys want to break that streak and win one down there. What's their O-line look like? What's that matchup look like? You guys have put in the time and done a little study, and now on USC. What have you seen on tape when you've seen the Trojans?
Watching film on them from their first game, second and third, just learning how their scheme is up front, mainly the two guards and the center, just seeing how they operate. Coming off from last week, I think this week we're gonna get tested for the first time, going against a really good O-line.
Yeah.
But the way we're watching film and the way we're practicing, I feel pretty confident going into this game with our D-line going against them.
Are you excited for this game? I mean, you've played those 3 non-conference games, but it feels like talking to guys this week, people are like, okay, let's get this thing going with the Pac-12.
Yeah, watching all the other college games going on in the country and seeing those big schools going against each other, I think it's, about time, we go against, someone in our,
in your caliber,
yes, sir.
In your league.
Yes, sir.
All right, last thing. Have you thought about much thought about what's next? I know you thought about it in the spring and decided to come back, but the NFL, was that something when you were a little kid? I can't even imagine you were ever a little kid, Lecky, but are you looking forward to that opportunity if it presents itself next year to play in the NFL?
Yeah, growing up as a kid, I thought about it. I always saw the NFL games and everything, but like I said, it didn't really hit me until last year that this could actually happen. So we'll see how the season goes,
right.
And then from there I'll just think about all that stuff after.
All right, before I let you go, Zach Moss is coming in next.
Yes, sir.
You could see him in practice. Other teams don't like seeing him. He leads the nation in broken tackles and running over dudes. What's it like to see him? What's Zach like as a teammate, and what's it like to go against him in practice?
He's a goofball.
Is he?
Outside of practice. But he's a really good player. He practiced like he's already in a pro. Like already in the NFL. The way he acts on and off the field. He leads in his own way, and I'm pretty sure everyone on our team can see that and try to follow that. But
he seems like a pretty serious dude. But you're saying he's kind of a goofball at times.
You got to get to know him.
Okay.
But yeah, so, I think it was one line where I told him during practice that I wish he went to another school so we could go against you. I seeing all these breaking tackles and everything. But I love Zach.
Lecky, thanks, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Lecky Fotu with us here on the Coaches Show tonight. We'll take a quick time out. The aforementioned goofball, Zach Moss, will join us next here on the Coaches Show from Learfield, IMG College. still can't tell if he got in or not. Zach Moss with us here on the Coaches Show. Did you get that in, or were you out of bounds? I couldn't tell from the press box. I was waiting for the referee to give the signal. I thought maybe you might have gotten it in before you stepped out.
I believe so.
Well, you got it on the next carry. You stuck it in on the next one. Zach Moss here with us. First 3 games, how've they been for you?
Pretty good. Just all been really confidence boosters for me coming off injury and things like that, and just reminding myself that I can still play a little ball.
Yeah, I think you as you told us all throughout fall camp, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about it. 5 years ago, when you committed to come here to Utah, I'm just curious, what did you have in your mind about what your college experience in football was going to be like, and how's that played out? Compare what was in your head when you signed the paper with how it's been now 4 years, 5 years later.
I couldn't have really mapped out any of this. In my head, I set goals for myself, and now, years later, I'm sitting right here and having the opportunity to do something great with this team and achieve all those goals. It's kind of crazy, but, that's just a testament of how hard I work, and when I put my mind on something, I'm going to go ahead and get that.
Who's more goal-oriented, you or Jalen Johnson? Because you guys both have had plans since you came to college. Jalen had his, and I know you had yours too. You guys are both pretty goal-oriented.
We both work very hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we both want the best for our families and things like that. So, we don't let anyone get us off our path and distract us. So, I'll probably say both of us are very about the same, you know what I mean? So,
is there more of an awareness of Utah football in South Florida now because of you, because of Tyler, because of Damari, DHC, some of the guys that have come out this way? Is there maybe a little bit more awareness in your kind of circles about Utah football now?
Yeah, I think so. My uncle called me the other day telling me that the guys in the barbershop are talking about Utah football and things like that. So I think, it's swirling around there a little bit, and hopefully we can continue to get some talent up this way.
What will it mean to you if those records all have Zach Moss by them when your season is done, when the career wraps up sometime in December or January? What will it mean to you to have your name next to a lot of those rushing records?
It just means that I did exactly what I thought I was going to do coming in.
Yeah.
I just wanted to come here and be the best I can be, and wherever that is and wherever that stacks up, I'm just grateful and just humble about everything.
You've had a good career, and obviously it would have been phenomenal a year ago had it not been for the injury. This is your third offensive system, though. You came in with one. You had 2 for the last 2 years. I'm guessing, based on the conversations you and I have had this fall, you like this system. This fits Zach Moss pretty well.
Yeah, it's physical, it's downhill. It's get the ball to the back and just let him go ahead and create and set up his teammates for everything like that. So, that's the type of guy I am, type of back I am. So, if you put me in offense, this allows me to go ahead and carry the weight. I'm more than ready to do that.
There was a lot of question outside the program in the offseason just because there had to be some guys replaced about the offensive line. Mm-hmm. Looks like it's come together pretty well, especially even with some injuries. Did you ever have any doubt? Did you know there was some talent that was going to be lining up in front of you?
Yeah, we had 3 guys that played last year with us, have a lot of experience down there. We have one of the best offensive line coaches in Coach Harding. So, I never really doubted those guys ever. I know they're going to come out here and they're going to work hard, and Coach Harding's going to get them ready to go each and every week. So, they go ahead and do what they have to do, and I do what I got to do. Zach
Moss is with us here on the Coaches Show, Friday nights, USC. Zach's had a pretty good run in his career against USC. 23 for 90, 20 for 141, 25 for 136. It's a good career. He's got one more game, which is Friday night. This is the type of game you, as a player, you have to kind of get really juiced for. Conference games are all big. I understand that. But you play at the Coliseum. Marcus Allen and Reggie Bush. You see all those jerseys in the one end of the Coliseum, some of the greats that have ever played there in both pro and college football. Is this a game that you get up for?
Yeah, definitely. My first time down there, I think that was the 144 game, and I was young and then just really taken by everything. I definitely want to come in there with a different approach this year and just want to leave a mark, you know what I mean? Just be remembered inside that stadium because it's a very legendary place to play.
No doubt about that. All right, last thing for you. I told you I'd get you out on a question. In Dade and Broward counties, which name is bigger, Moss or Perriman?
Moss.
Moss is bigger?
Yeah.
Even bigger than the Perrimans, huh?
I think so.
Okay. Would Terrell say the same thing?
He might be biased, but I think I'm going to say Moss.
Because I was doing my research today. There have been a lot of Mosses and a lot of Perrimans who have played a lot of pretty good football in South Florida, haven't they?
That's true. That's true.
And now 2 of them have made their way out to Utah as well. Hey, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it, Zach.
No problem, boss.
That's Zach
Appreciate
Moss
it.
with us here on the Coaches Show tonight. Quick timeout. We'll come back. Coach Witt joins us. We'll get his thoughts on Zach Moss and the USC Trojans coming up. This is Utah Football and the Coaches Show from Learfield IMG College. Helton right there talking about where he thinks the game will be decided. We welcome you back into the Coaches Show presented by Pepsi. All of our touchdowns, and we hope we have a lot of them on Friday night, are Code Red touchdowns. Grab a Pepsi and some friends, get into the game. Pepsi's a proud sponsor of Utah athletics and Utah football. Before we get into the SC Trojans, we just had Zach Moss sitting in that chair right there. And tell you what, when it's all said and done, keeping those fingers crossed he stays healthy, he's probably going to own just about every rushing record in school history. When you were back recruiting him out of Florida, do you have an idea he might be a pretty special back?
Yeah, on tape he was exactly what you see right now.
Yeah.
Physical, quick, inside runner, outside runner, great hands out of the backfield, picks up blitzes, and so he was a guy that I couldn't believe was not more highly recruited, because I thought he was tremendous, and he had some good offers, but not what I thought the whole SEC should have been on him. But anyway, fortunately we got him.
You got him, and he's one of the best in school history, maybe on his way to being the best. All right, you got USC this weekend, and they run now an air raid for traditional Pac-12, Pac-10 football fans. Very unusual. It used to be student body left, student body right. Now it's four wides. But you said the other day, not every air raid is the same.
Right.
The one Mike Leach runs at Wazoo is different than the one maybe USC runs. So what stands out about theirs, and what do you like about Keaton Slovis, their quarterback?
Well, first of all, they are more 11 personnel than Leach and Coach Leach and the Washington State are all four wides and spread it out and throw the ball 70% plus of the time. This is more about a 60-40 mix, throw to run, and the tight end is employed much more often. It's a 3 wide receiver set predominantly, at least in the first 3 games. That could always change, but the commonality or the common ground, the big splits with the offensive line, the route concepts are very similar. But it is a little bit different than what Washington State or how Mama used to do in those guys. But it's definitely more wide open and more spread than SC has ever been.
Well, and they've got 3 of the best wide receivers you're going to find anywhere. And you saw those 3 guys. They were here a year ago when you got to play them, and they'll make big plays. If you miss an assignment, they'll make you pay, won't they?
They will, and I don't think any of them are seniors still. I think they're all underclassmen, and so it seems like they've been there forever because they've been playing since they were freshmen. But they're talented, and the Slovis kid, he's done some really good things. He made a few errors last week. In fact, that was the difference in the game. Is those 3 interceptions? That was the difference. Because they outstatted them. They had more total offense and really moved the ball well, but stalled in the red zone a time or two. And then, like I said, the 3. If you lose the turnover, battle 3-0, you're sunk. I mean, you're not going to win very many games ever doing that.
So defensively, Clancy Pendergast was one of the few guys that returns from last year's staff. Are they much different defensively?
No, not a lot different. Yeah, Clancy does. He does what he does. He's been doing it for a lot of years. He's a good coach. He's been at the highest level, in the NFL, and he's his scheme is very sound, and they're doing what he's done for a lot of years.
All right, we'll take our final time out here on the Coaches Show. We'll come back, quick spin around the Pac-12 Conference, and keys to winning in the Coliseum all ahead. Don't forget, our pregame show begins at 5 on the network on Friday with a 7 o'clock kickoff from the Coliseum right here from Learfield, IMG College. 60 yards for Brant Keithy. Did Freddie ever move like that going up the sideline? Because is that who's teaching Brant Keithy those moves?
He's his mentor. Yeah, Freddie's the mentor of those guys. And I'll tell you what, Keithy's a playmaker, and he's just a guy that fits perfectly into what Andy's doing. And Andy's got a nice role for him. And between him and Cole Fotheringham, those are two good weapons for us.
He's got great balance. I thought when he caught that ball, his momentum might carry him out of bounds.
Right.
He was able to stay. It was a great play. All right, just give me anything that stands out about the Pac-12 after 3 weeks to you as you look around the conference.
It's still really early, but obviously we have 6 teams ranked, so there's some good things going on. Washington getting beat by Cal surprised me, although Cal's a good team. Not taking anything away from Cal, but that was a surprise. I don't know. We still got a lot of road to cover before things really come into perspective, and so I would say right now it's too early to make any definitive conclusions.
Before you go to bed tonight, go Google search Mike Leach's press conference when he discusses the mascots and who would win the battle of the Pac-12 mascots.
I bet that's interesting and entertaining.
He said if the Ute traded for a rifle and was on a horse, he'd be a hard guy to beat. So it's a very good 2-minute watch before you go. All right, before I let you go here tonight, before you get back to a little preparation, give me a couple of keys to beating SC down at the Coliseum on Friday night.
Keeping their big plays to a minimum. Those big those talented wide receivers. We gotta keep them from going crazy. We gotta control the run game, just like we try to do every week, and establish the fact that it's going to be tough sledding running the football. Offensively, we can keep doing what we're doing, taking care of the ball, being efficient in the red zone, and getting some chunk plays up the field of our own. We've got to get some chunk plays up the field.
All right, 5 o'clock for the pregame show along the network, 7 o'clock kickoff from the Coliseum for Utah and USC. That's Kyle Whittingham. I want to thank our entire crew here, including Patrick, who's over there. Patrick, thank you for coming by tonight. JP back in the studio. We'll talk to you Friday from the Coliseum. This is Utah football from Learfield, IMG College. Good night.